And the thing that was so phenomenal about him, he was doing it practically on one leg. The rest is pivotal for him. They won Saturday. They've had these 5 days off before he gets to play again. I think he's going to be rested. I think that the Golden State Warriors will have better success against him as the series wanes. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if tonight Kawhi Leonard opens up and he has a slightly better game than Steph Curry. I think they're both going to have big games, but I think he could possibly have a slightly better game tonight.
Okay. Max?
I think Kawhi might be rusty to start the game, but by the end, it'll be Kawhi Leonard who has the better game. I think he's the best player in the world, and the reason is the difference is at this point, at this level, who performs under pressure. Maybe Steph Curry can come through under pressure in this series. He can use the kind of fuel of people like me saying, hey, we haven't seen you at your best in the finals yet, as motivation, or he can be internally motivated to do better when it matters most and go off because he's certainly that talented. That's not really how Kawhi operates, it doesn't seem to me. Kawhi seems to be a cyborg from the future sent back in time to destroy everybody in the NBA. Like the man has ice water in his veins, as though he doesn't know the difference between a practice in the offseason and the finals, right? He gets to his spot, he gets a good shot, and he hits it. And then on defense, he's, among the best who's ever lived. But I think the long rest actually maybe makes the rest makes Kawhi a little rusty to start the game. But by the end, it will be Kawhi with the best game, and it will be the Raptors who win it.
Well, Steph Curry has had double. Steph Curry has had double the amount of time off that Kawhi has. So if Russ is going to affect anybody, it'll affect him even more than it affects Kawhi. I honestly don't know what's going to happen tonight. I know that the Warriors are going back to the Oracle for Game 3 with this series tied 1-1. I don't know whether it's games 1 or 2, but they will win one of these games in Toronto.
Okay.
I don't think they're going back to the Oracle down 0-2.
The other thing about Steph is his offense, as much as he's the greatest shooter ever, I agree.
Yeah.
It's somewhat he somewhat relies upon his pick and roll partner. His real crime partner is called the Splash Brothers. Oh, it's Clay. No, it's really Draymond. And if Draymond has a problem with the length and the excellent defense of the Raptors, then that may affect Curry in turn because that's his pick and roll partner. So as much as they can throw great defender after great defender at Kawhi and maybe not have to double and trap Draymond, Clay, Iguodala, if the Raptors do the same thing to Draymond, that could affect Curry.
I think that Draymond, we got to give credit where credit's due. He's lost like 23 pounds.
Yeah.
He's light of foot right now, and he's quicker and faster than I've seen him in recent memory. So he made sacrifices during the regular season, specifically for the postseason run. And as we've watched him in this postseason with the lighter weight, we got to ask ourselves whether that's going to be a plus or a minus, because on one hand, the quickness and the speed is going to work to his advantage, but the absence of girth that he used to have with guys like Ibaka and Gasol in the post area, that's going to have me looking at somebody like a Kevon Looney and wondering Boogie Cousins and coming back and how many minutes is he going to be able to log. That's going to impact this series as well.
Fair enough. And obviously, you guys, championships are on the line, but more than that this time of year, Max, legacy is on the line. And I'm not just talking Kawhi, Steph. I'm putting Kevin Durant in this equation. He's ruled out for Game 1. We don't know if we'll see him at all during these finals. Who has the most to lose during this series?
Easily Steph Curry, because of what I've been talking about. Steph has been the heart and soul of the team. I mean, Draymond, he's 1A and Draymond's 1B. Steph has revolutionized basketball along with Draymond. And yet, the first finals win against LeBron James, LeBron was so clearly and by far like twice as good as anyone else on the floor. The only reason they were able to beat LeBron in 6 games is because literally Matthew Dellavedova was the Cavs' second best player. They had no Kyrie or Kevin Love, and the Cavs were top heavy. Obviously, the Cavs would have beaten them, I think, fairly easily had LeBron been loaded up. The next season, they were better, the Warriors, 73 wins, and in 4 minutes and 22 seconds at the end of that game, Stephen A., the greatest half-court offense of all time, conducted by Steph Curry, couldn't muster a single point, and they lost at home in Game 7 to LeBron, who was crewed up that year. So Steph's never done it alone. KD then won 2 finals MVPs. We already know KD makes it unfair for the Warriors. We already know with him they're going to win. The question is, what can Steph do without KD? And if he loses, Stephen A., that means 3 trips to the finals without KD. Won once with a compromised Cavs team, lost twice. That's a whole lot to lose for Steph Curry.
Well, you can choose to look at it that way. I don't. I've never heard Steph Curry in the conversation as the best player in the world. That would happen to be Kawhi Leonard. By the way, we keep pointing out the fact that Kawhi Leonard insisted on leaving San Antonio, and he's in Toronto now. Let's keep in mind that Kawhi Leonard wanted out of San Antonio. San Antonio were not scrubs. They were going to the postseason, but somehow, some way, if what Molly said earlier is correct, that obviously winning was a priority, then why would you want to leave? Because you thought you couldn't win in San Antonio. So here you come to the Eastern Conference. Your first year here, you get to the finals. Everybody and their grandmama knows that the road to prosperity is far easier in the Eastern Conference than it has been in the Western Conference. Oh, by the way, getting back to Steph Curry, 3-time champion, 2-time league MVP, universally recognized as the greatest shooter we have ever seen in our lifetime, who has never been a part of the greatest player in the world conversation. No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. Not the greatest player in the world. The greatest shooter in the world, not the greatest player.
There was a minute when we thought he was going to take over from LeBron. That one season, remember?
The popularity because of his ability to shoot the ball. But in terms of looking at his skill set and what he could do on both ends of the floor, which Max never has. Hold on. Which goes to we're talking about both sides of the ball. We have never said that about Klay Thompson. I'm sorry, about Steph Curry.
Yeah, but Stephen
we have said that about LeBron.
But at a certain point, Steph was so unstoppable. He won MVP of the league, and there was a sense maybe he is the best player in the world. You and I disagree about that.
We're talking about him as an offensive player, but I'm saying both ends of the floor. He was never in that discussion.
And then LeBron, yes, he was. No, not on the defensive discussion, but overall value. And then LeBron put an end to that. Look, you said that the road to prosperity is easier in the East. No way. I'd say Kawhi had a not just a little bit tougher road, a much tougher road to the finals than the Warriors. The Warriors had to play a Rockets team that wasn't the same, where Harden and CP3 both choked and got it done in 6 games, right? And by the way, yes, they started playing better without KD, but they had KD for a lot of that series. Excuse me, Kawhi Leonard, without another really surefire all-star, there's no one on that team he can rely on. Siakam sometimes, Lowry sometimes, but no Klay Thompson, no Draymond Green, no even Iguodala, who's been a Finals MVP, to help him out, let alone KD. Kawhi Leonard went through the 76ers and then through the Milwaukee Bucks, through Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and then the Greek Freak. They have had the tougher road to the finals than the Warriors.
Are you okay? Do you need more Advil? You're good?
I actually do. Y'all can clap all y'all want to. I don't give a damn. He's wrong. The fact of the matter is this. On religious occasions, we've talked about the West being tougher than the East. On religious occasions, we've talked about the best player in the world, and the conversation has not included Steph Curry. On religious occasions, you yourself personally have brought up defense. A matter of fact, you used that to make the case about Kawhi over KD. And so as a result of that, now we're going to ignore it? Now you can choose your argument any way you want to. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter we have ever seen. He has never been accused of being an elite defender. He has never been in that conversation. I know as an offensive player, there was a conversation, but as an all-around player, in terms of his overall impact, he has never been in that conversation. So as we sit here today talking about Kawhi Leonard, you brought up winning and its importance. The San Antonio Spurs have been in the postseason 22 consecutive years.
But there was one point on that. Remember he said they mishandled his injury.
I know that,
but bad blood.
I'm only going by what you said just now a few minutes ago when Amari said. You talked about the importance of winning. I'm saying San Antonio was going to the postseason 22 consecutive years. He knew he wasn't going to win in San Antonio because you had to go through the Golden State Warriors. He comes to the Eastern Conference via trade, no doubt, not his call. But in the end, when we look at Philadelphia, we've questioned Brett Brown. We've questioned Ben Simmons. We've questioned J.J. Redick. That was Max, not me. We found out that Milwaukee, outside of the Greek Freak, didn't have any playmakers. Don't get me started with Orlando and their young, wet behind the ears, breasts smelling like Similac cells. So the bottom line is, when you look at the road to prosperity in the Eastern Conference, don't tell me that it's comparable to the West.
It was this season. This season, which is Kawhi's first in the East, it was clearly harder than the West. Kawhi had to get by better teams in the East than Steph had to get by in the West.
Teams.
That's one.
Better
Two,
teams.
you bring up
That's not
Steph
true.
Curry.
False.
You bring up
False.
Steph Curry. You bring up Steph Curry is never in the conversation for the best player in basketball. You realize when you win MVP, what the league is saying is during the regular season, you were the best player in basketball. That's why James Harden is in those conversations.
According to you, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter with James Harden, and it never matters.
Right. I need to see you do it. I need to see you do it when it counts. And what we've seen from Kawhi is he does it always when it counts the most. He's as good as anyone when it doesn't matter as much, and when it matters the most,
so if he doesn't do
better.
it, so if he doesn't do it, it doesn't matter. Then, based on what you're saying, all right, then why would you come back and say if he doesn't, he has less to lose than Steph?
Why does he have less to lose than Steph?
Well, what you just explained.
Because how many future Hall of Famers is Kawhi playing with right now versus Steph? Even right now, Steph's got 2 Hall of Famers on his roster. 2 of them. Right now, by the way, in their primes. Who does Kawhi have? And yet I'm still picking Kawhi because I think he's that much better than anyone else in the series.
You're picking Kawhi, but in the event that you're wrong about Kawhi, it's not that big of a deal because of who he's playing with. Congratulations.
Right. I'm saying Kawhi can overcome the fact that he doesn't have another consistent all-star on the roster.
But if he doesn't, it's not that